Welcome back to Watch It Played. My name is Rodney Smith. It's just me today. And that's because this is a special episode. And by special, I mean I made mistakes in the last video that I need to correct, and so that's what we're going to do here. I hate making mistakes in videos. I hate making mistakes. A couple of reasons, really. One, I'm always afraid that the person will not see the correction video, so they'll walk away from a video we made thinking they know the rules, and because of us, they don't. So that's one thing I don't like. The other thing I don't like is I don't want to misrepresent the complexity of the rule set. The mistakes that I made in the last video are not because the rules are unclear, it's just because I'm me, and hopefully when you're playing the game you won't also be videoing and editing and changing camera angles, and that will help you not miss the mistakes I missed. The other reason I don't like making mistakes, look, I've already made a mistake in this video. I said there's two reasons I don't like making mistakes. There's actually more than that. I'm making them publicly. You get to watch me make these mistakes. It's embarrassing. So anyway, let's get on with what the mistakes are, and let's correct them. The first item is actually a clarification, not so much a rules error, but it came to us from viewer Carefree. And let me say right up front, all of the corrections in this video come to us because of good viewers like yourselves who notice the mistakes and let us know about it. We really appreciate it because there is a good chance that some of these mistakes we would not catch on our own. So you're really helping out not just us, but also future viewers who are hopefully going to see these corrections and avoid these same mistakes in their own games. Anyway, Carefree wanted to let us know that normally during a battle action, it's the first player who rolls the dice for the monsters. Because we change camera angles for the dice rolling, it just makes it a little bit easier for me when I'm filming if the same player rolls for both the monsters and for themselves. So again, first player would roll the dice for the monsters, the hero would roll the dice for themselves during their attack. The next correction comes to us from Soul31, who reminds us that the Mummy of Wales has the Rot ability. Now this is important because if you take a hit from this monster, instead of just getting one wound token, you get two. So Luke should have an additional wound marker on his hero. The next correction comes from Ulular Rob. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. When you use the Poison Dagger, there is a special condition. You don't get to add that additional wound to the monster if the monster is an animate monster, an undead monster, or an undead hero. So Andrea should not have been able to place an additional wound on the War Altar, which means the War Altar would not be dead. But actually, that doesn't matter because we made a bigger mistake than that. The mistake we really made is when the War Altar was first revealed. Remember, the War Altar has that uber ability that says you can't take battle actions against it unless you're being assisted. Now, I made the false assumption that when the War Altar is first revealed and does that first attack against you, that you would be able to roll your dice, but that's actually incorrect. Unless you're being assisted, you don't get to roll any dice in any combat action with this monster. So that means Andrea should not have been able to roll dice in response to that first attack. Which, if you remember, the monster did 4 hits against Andrea, which means technically she's been knocked out. Thankfully, we can make the corrections required without breaking our game. However, some will be happy with the outcome and some will not. So first of all, the War Altar returns to play on top of this treasure card on this tile here. Andrea would have been knocked down by the War Altar, so she has to return to that tile, knocked down. And we can't forget that because she was knocked out, she also has to drop an item, and the only item she has is her Poison Dagger. So now that's sitting here on this tile as well. And then the number of wound tokens on her card is reduced in half, rounded down. So we've done that here. She would have 2 wound tokens on her. Now keep in mind, this also means that Andrea would not have been able to travel. So she wouldn't have been able to go to the List Library card, which means that Luke would have drawn this library tile when he moved. So we're going to have to return the tile that he drew back to the top of the dungeon pile stack, and instead replace his tile with the library tile, which he's going to be happy with because he really wanted to travel to the library if that one came up during the game. And so what that means, though, instead, is he would not have been able to roll and draw for this True Shot bow that he collected during that turn. Now, instead of just returning this to the top of the pile, I'm actually going to shuffle this in because it's important that you don't know what the treasures are, because if, for instance, you knew it was a treasure you wouldn't be able to use, then you might decide not to use an action to search. So I'm going to shuffle that back in, and instead on Luke's turn, instead of looking for a treasure like he would have done, he's going to use the library's special action as his action. So at the beginning of the next video, we'll have him roll and we'll see what happens. All right, now there's one other thing we need to correct because of the little mess we had there with the War Altar, and that is when the roam action came around to Andrea, there now is another monster on the board that could have roamed. Remember, the Mole Ogre doesn't roam because I had been on the tile with it. And although there is a hero on the tile with the War Altar, that hero is knocked down. The monster doesn't care about knocked down heroes, it wants fresh meat, so it would roam. And that means it picks up the treasure card that's underneath of it, and it carries it with it, and would roam to the only tile that it could, which is the one that I had moved to. So, keeping in mind that I would not have moved to that tile if I had known that there was a monster there, I'm going to have to go back to where I was, and that means I would not have moved to this tile and then collected this treasure. So once again, because we need to keep treasure secret, I'm going to shuffle this treasure back into the pile and draw a new one to place on that tile. Now, on my turn, remember, what I did was I evaded. Now, I would not, as I said, have evaded towards the War Altar. So, I evaded successfully, which means I would have gone to the den. Now, I could have evaded over here to this more standard tile, but keep in mind, when you re-enter a standard tile, you don't re-roll for treasures or encounters. However, since I chose to go towards the den's special ability is that if there's no monsters present, you roll for an encounter. And on a roll of 1, 2, or 3, you do encounter another monster. Now, monsters are bad, but you do need monsters to level up. So, I wouldn't mind leveling up. I could use the help. I have a feeling I'm going to be picked on a lot during this game. So I am moving here, and I'm going to have to roll to see if there's going to be an encounter. And I rolled a 6. And because I rolled that 6, I don't get to encounter a monster, but I still have an action left over. And what I want to do for my action is I want to level up. I'm going to advance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trade in this Rotting Zombie. Now, I'm only trading in 1 card. You might be saying, Rodney, you have to trade in 2 cards to level up. Well, normally that's true. However, I have the Necromancy ability, which means that when I make an advance action, undead cards like this one count as 2 cards. So I'm trading this in, I'm advancing, and I'm actually going to advance my skill because I want to improve my ability to use that Unholy Offering ability, which allows me to totally heal all damage on me if I roll a number of dice equal to my skill, and any number of them can be totaled up to exactly 7. So, I think that puts everything back the way it should be. I'm dreading that someone's going to watch this and realize there's something else I missed, but I think that covers everything. When we come back, remember, Luke's going to have to roll to search in the library and see what happens, and then we'll resume the game as normal. Thanks for watching this. Thanks for sticking with us and putting up with our mistakes. I hope this helped out, and we'll see you in the next video.